So, welcome to the conversation. This is another Thursday edition conversation about relationships. And I am so excited about this topic. We have still been in the series of From Roommates to Soulmates. And today we are going to be talking about the real reason you have been struggling to communicate in your relationship. We're going to get down to the truth. I'm going to give you the cheat code. I'm going to give you the real deal, why you really have been struggling. And not just why you have been struggling, but how to fix it today. And that's the most important part. It's about how are we going to fix it? We know what the problem is. You already know what the issue is. So we don't need to go back down memory lane on the issue. But what we do need to do is talk about how can we fix it. Communication was designed to connect, not disconnect you from your partner. And so I'm going to give you some tangible tools that you can implement today, tonight, this moment, whatever time you catch this live. You're going to be able to implement these strategies and you're going to be able to start winning together in your relationship. So if this is your first time finding me, I am Coach Lauren Jackson. I am a marriage and relationship coach, and I help Black couples communicate with ease. And I am super excited about the work that I get to do with the Oneness Institute. I'm the founder of the Oneness Institute. And so my goal and mission tonight is to help you master the art of living as one. So if you're here, if you're following, if you found this page, you found this channel, somebody sent this to you, make sure to like, share, comment. Let me know your thoughts. Bless somebody else by sharing this live, sharing this video. It's going to help someone if it's already helping you. So we're going to get into the conversation about these communication issues. So I want to have a real conversation with you because, some people just be talking. I want to have a real conversation. So let's imagine this. You love your spouse. You want your marriage to work, but when it comes to communicating, it's giving, get somebody else to do it. It's giving, we don't even speak the same language. We are not even on the same wavelength some days. And you really walk away oftentimes feeling like, what was that all for? 1 minute you're fine. And then the next minute, you're in a full-blown argument over something as simple as how the dishes should be loaded in the dishwasher. Does that sound familiar? How many of y'all just don't look to the left or the right, just put a heart up, some fire or something in the chat. If this has been your testimony, if you have gotten into a full-blown argument on how the dishes should be set in the dishwasher, we're not here to judge, okay? But if you are a high-achieving individual and you are in partnership, married, in a relationship with a person who's just as high achieving as you, we would call those people power couples, right? Then you know that winning at work is one thing, but winning in your relationship, that's a whole different game. The things you do at the house, that you do at the job, you can't do at this house. And nobody's handing out playbooks on how to maintain deep connection while balancing success and kids and life demands. No one is telling you how do you practically, how do you have it all? How do you juggle it all? How do you have it all? And so I'm going to help you with some cheat codes tonight. I know you've been saying, I wish somebody would just tell me what to do. I'm going to tell you what to do, okay? But I'm going to give you some truth. And most importantly, give you some truth that may challenge your belief, may challenge the way you think, I hope, but really makes you start to do some introspective work and really think about, how am I showing up in this thing? One of the things I thought about as I was preparing for today's discussion is, do you realize that most of us were never taught how to truly communicate? I want you to think about that before you respond. Who taught you how to communicate? Who do you remember teaching you how to talk? Now, keep in mind, we think communication is just talking. Like, that's all it is. It's just us talking. But if that were true, then why do so many conversations end in frustration? Think about it. It ends in frustration, it ends in resentment, and worst of all, it will end in silence. So clearly, there's more to communication than just talking. And today, I'm going to help break down the real reason you've been struggling to communicate with your partner. And I promise you, I will do my best. It's going to happen. By the end of this video, you are going to have practical steps to start fixing it today, because I know you're tired of going through these same arguments. I know you are. I don't even want you going through these arguments, okay? So grab you a paper, a pen, or something, because you're going to want to write these things down. And so we're going to get right into why communication feels so hard. This is something that I have couples say all the time in our first meeting. They're like, why is this so hard? Like, why is getting through to you like one of the hardest things that I do all day? So the biggest reason communication is a struggle in your marriage, in your relationship, it isn't because you don't love each other. I meet couples all the time from all over the United States that I've worked with, and very seldom do I coach or work with a couple that didn't love each other. It's not that they didn't love each other, it's that they didn't know how to express themselves, and oftentimes they didn't know how to express love. And so you have two people who've come from two totally different lives, who have two totally different lived experiences. And even if they have shared experiences, they're still not the same person. So something's going to not be the same. And so one of the biggest issues that I see couples have is that they explode instead of expressing. They explode instead of expressing. And so if this has been your story, it's okay. Tonight, it's not going to be your story no more. This is your day to get free. So have you been wondering why? Why is it that we have struggled to express ourselves, where my partner gets me and I feel seen, heard, and valued? I walk away not feeling like I've been beat up on emotionally, verbally by my partner. Well, number one, let's start at the top. Listening to respond and not to understand. Listen. Most of us, we want to be right about it more than we want to be right with you. And so anytime you start treating your partner as if this is some like they're an attorney, okay, like you're an attorney and they're on a witness stand and you were trying to sentence them to life in prison without parole, this is where this comes in, because we're not really hearing our partner. So what happens is we're mentally preparing ourselves the entire time that they're talking for our comeback, instead of actually listening to what that person is saying, what your partner is saying. And so instead of us listening to our partner, we're sitting there the whole time thinking, oh, I can't wait till he hush his mouth because I'm going to say this. I can't wait till she hush because I'm going to tell her this. And when I say this, it's going to really shut her down. We're thinking of how we're going to shut you down. Like if it's March Madness and you going up for a layup, we're trying to do that. And shutting you down, when you try to shut your partner down, be prepared that you may have just shut them off. And the worst thing you can do is be in a marriage or relationship with a person that has already identified that you are not emotionally safe with them, because baby, listen, opening them back up, good luck. It's going to take a long time. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of consistency, patience, and discipline. So think about that the next time you're ready to go off and get defensive and you're ready to just give your side of the story. A lot of times our issues are what happens when we don't feel heard. That's what makes the arguments last longer. When we feel like we haven't been heard, we shut down, we get defensive, we escalate, it get loud, we start going off, we doing this. I mean, it can get very ugly. We calling names, we saying things we don't really mean. And so here is a quick cheat code on how to fix that. Okay. So the next time you and your partner, it seems like The level is up to here. You're outside of what my good friend and therapist says all the time, Rex Howard. You're outside of your window of tolerance, meaning I can't take no more of your crap. I want you to listen with your heart, not just your ears. Remember, this same person that you're mad with, you used to be mad about. You used to be crazy about them. You used to wait for them. You used to wait for their text messages, their phone calls. You couldn't wait for a good morning, babe message. This is the same person who has had your back in good seasons and in bad seasons. This is the same person who has loved you through your mess. So if this is the same person that has loved you through your mess, then what are we really doing? And so how do you check in with the heart to see, am I hearing you right? Go ahead and write this down. Next time your partner is speaking, I want you to try this. And don't tell me it doesn't work, especially if you didn't try it. Don't even get in the comments with it. You can't tell me something didn't work that you didn't try. So repeat back what you heard and say, so what I'm hearing is, or you can say, so what my heart is hearing is. My heart is hearing. Why? Because A, you can't live without your heart. B, your heart represents love. And C, you do tell this person when things are going good, you love them. So it's a reminder to them that you're listening from the most gentle place in your body. The most gentle organ that you possess is your heart. This simple shift will change the way you both feel seen and valued in your marriage and relationships. Literally. And it will shift the energy from, yeah, to, And then that lets that person hear back the playback, because the worst thing we can do as the speaker is think we said something that we didn't say. I know. We do that a lot. But in this season, we're getting better. Not here to judge. This is your safe space, darling. Okay. Number 2, the second reason why communication is so hard is because you're speaking different love and conflict languages. You're speaking different love and conflict languages. So if you're a power couple, chances are both of you have strong personalities. Typically, because you both have strong personalities, you know how to negotiate deals. You know how to manage teams. You know how to handle business, but you do not know how to handle each other. And you don't handle each other with care. So it's like all that strategy goes out the window when you're mad, when you feel offended, when you feel like you've been or you're being dismissed. All of that goes out the window and you forget who this person is. And so some people communicate their feelings communicate their words through facts and logic. Oftentimes, because I tend to coach and work with the power couple, and typically the wife is the strong Black woman. So for my men that are watching this, I hear you. This is your safe space. This is your cheat code. You're going to want to lean in and maybe send this to a brother or another husband that needs this. Okay. Because I'm sure all of y'all been looking for these cheat codes. I'm going to drop one. So ladies, listen up. Most men are logical. They're factual and logical thinkers. So if you are in a relationship or married to a person that is very logical, that it doesn't make logical sense to them, then when you are trying to state your case, you're going to need to state your case with some facts. Like Tuesday at 5, I requested, can you buy these tickets? You said, sure, babe. At that point, I was delegating the buying of the tickets to you. I was not supposed to be the person buying the tickets. But next thing that happens is you said, babe, did you buy those tickets? Y'all know that look, ladies. And then it goes awry. See, because if it was something you wanted, you would have did it. And that's how it goes. That's when it goes to the next level, right? For men, they are very much so logical people. So in his mind, he may be thinking, well, since you asked me about it, that meant you were going to, I was given the green light. You have open access to our accounts. I thought you were going to go ahead and make that purchase. But that's not what it said when I sent the text message. Right? So that is logic. Being able to go back and say, hey, circle it in red. Hey, this is what I said. You know, did that not land well? Because I want you to remember this. Put this one in your hat. The person that determines if the communication is effective, it is not the speaker, it is the listener. So again, you can think you said something you didn't say. And the person that determines if you are a great communicator, it's not you. It's your partner. It's the listener. So always getting a confirmation is going to be critical. It's the same way when you bought those tickets, you got an email confirmation. When you pay your light bill, you get an email confirmation. If you ask them to send you a receipt, you will get a confirmation when you go to the grocery store. The receipt is a confirmation that you came, you spent, and you went, right? So that's the same thing in your relationships. But oftentimes we don't get confirmation. We give command, no confirmation, and we move. And that is where we collide. Then you have the woman. Typically, women are more emotional and feeling. I think a part of that has to do with the way we were made. For those of us that are of the faith base, Eve was made from the inside of Adam. So we're very intuitive. We're very, very connected, like a oneness, right? Because we're made from inside of you. And so women have like these senses about them, and we can pick up real quick if you plan. We can pick up. Now, sometimes we can pick up what you didn't put down. And sometimes we could have came in the house with an issue, and then you asked us one question and the thing just went awry. Okay. So for my husbands, it's going to be very important, especially if you're married to the strong Black woman, to always check in to see how would you feel? How does this feel to you? How would you feel about this? Why do you keep hearing me say feel? Because when you do things she doesn't like, what does she say? I felt like you was doing this. I felt. Women oftentimes start their round of evidence with, I felt. So if you don't understand what the feeling is that you're dealing with, you may be trying to negotiate something that's never going to work, because she's her framework, the way she creates and decides on things, her feelings sit at the table and they get a vote. So because her feelings sit at the table and they get a vote, they can either vote you in or they can vote you out. And so it's very important that you understand what your partner's, not just their love language is, but also how do they like to be challenged? How do they like to be corrected? Because correction is a part of transformation. It's also part of transition, because something has to shift. And this is why in my upcoming workshop, I'm going to be teaching you about the untold truth about marriage. And we're going to get really deep into this thing. And I'm going to give you the key missing ingredient that's going to help you restore intimacy, trust, and passion. And so we're going to break down exactly how to align your communication style so that you can stop talking at each other and you can start talking with each other. Because how can two walk together? Amos 3:3, unless they agree. There has to be alignment. There has to be an agreement. And then number 3, you're carrying unspoken resentment. Oh, this is a good one. Oftentimes, we feel like you've been with me long enough. You should know that by now. Newsflash. You have changed your wig at least 3 times this week. He barely knows who you still are. So if you're thinking that your partner should know this upsets you, no, that's giving avoidant. It's giving you don't want to have a conversation. It's giving you don't want to be vulnerable. That is not real life. Your partner is not a mind reader. And so when they say, "Hey, babe, what's going on? What's wrong? Can you share with me what you're feeling?" And you're like, "Oh, nothing. I'm good. I'm good." You're not good. So now you're lying to them. And if you are in, again, most men are factual and logical people. So that means 2 times 2 needs to equal 4. If it doesn't, then they don't understand what you're mad about. You're mad because of something else. And so they're trying to figure it out. And so what I find is so frustrating to the men that I work with, the husbands that I get to work with, is that oftentimes as women, I'm going to get on to us because we do this a lot, we will have that man solving for a problem that ain't even on the test. You have him solving for a problem that, quite honestly, it's not even on the test. You left it off the test because you were afraid he was going to get it wrong or he was going to get it right, and you were going to have to be exposed or you were going to have to address it. And so instead of addressing it, you are finding some other way to passive aggressively get your point across, but it's not landing well. So if you know that you're not fine, that you're not okay, then just say that. But when you feel unappreciated, unheard, or like your needs don't matter, that pain only builds up. And pain that builds up over time becomes resentment for a lifetime. And instead of having open conversations, you start having silent wars. And silent wars sound like, "I'm good, I'm fine." But deep down, no, you're not. Your body language says you're not. Your attitude says you're not. Your lack of physical touch, your lack of saying, "I love you," everything about you says, "I'm not okay." And healing communication starts with acknowledging the unspoken. So ask yourself, what have I been holding on to that I need to release? And better yet, ask your spouse, what's something I've done that may have hurt you that we have not fully addressed? I'm going to give you those 2 questions again. One, to ask yourself, what have I been holding on to that I need to release? And then what is something I've done that may have hurt you that we have not fully addressed it? Those 2 questions could be the key to unlocking deeper intimacy that you've been missing all along. It's not that that man doesn't love you. Is that you're hard to love because you're not honest about your true feelings. It's not that she doesn't want to submit to you and she doesn't care about you. Is that you broke her trust. And quite honestly, she's still dealing with unforgiveness. And although you're trying to pay your way out, that may not be her survival story. You can pay anybody for anything at this stage of life. So that doesn't work. So I really hope that helped you and that you really leaned in. And I hope and I pray that those of you that are watching, that you don't just take this information and, okay, no, you need to, if you know that you're struggling with miscommunication, nothing clears up miscommunication like clear communication. Clearly, you need to join the Untold Truth About Marriage. And the link is going to be right down in the description. Make sure you get your seat. Make sure you hold your spot. It is happening next week on February 26th. We're going to be talking about these key missing ingredients. And I am telling you, you don't want to miss it. So I'm going to give you these last 3 points. This is going to help you. This is going to help you. So I want you to write this down because this is where we're going to fix the problem you've been having. And I'm going to help you start communicating with ease, not tomorrow, but tonight, but today, right now. Lean in. So now that we know why communication is breaking down, let's talk about how we're going to fix this. Because one thing I love about being a coach is that coaching is all about moving forward. We hold space in the beginning about understanding you and really getting a good understanding about your foundation. But everything about coaching has everything to do with and moving forward. And y'all know that's that professional way of saying the next time, don't play with me, stop. So moving forward. Because we can't go backwards. We can't change the past. Your only option is to move forward. But here goes my question to you. Do you want to move forward in peace? PIECE, or in pieces? Do you want a peace? Well, let me say that differently. Do you want peace, PEACE? Or do you want to move on in pieces, meaning you're fragmented, you're all over the place? I think you're tired of it, and I want to help you. You look tired. So, rule number 1, shift from criticism to curiosity. Instead of saying, you never listen to me, try saying, help me understand what you're hearing when I say this. Instead of saying, you never listen to me, and criticizing, think about your words. Are your words criticizing, or are you really curious? One attack that others invite into connection is when we don't sit back and really just get curious. Criticism is the top attack that makes your partner shut down because it's tied to not being emotionally safe. Again, if anyone is providing you guilt, blame, or shame, that you're not safe there. So why am I going to tell you what's really happening when all you want to do, and I see us do this a lot, use it against me? I'm on your team and you fighting me like I'm your enemy, and I'm not. I'm not your enemy. So let's shift from being criticism to curiosity. Number 2, schedule a check-in conversation. There's no way on God's good earth you're going to tell me or make me believe you don't have 20 minutes out your day to check in with your partner. Baby, you can have a 30-minute lunch break and have 20 minutes and still got 10 minutes left over to go to the bathroom. I know that your schedules are busy and your strategy sessions and your workouts and you got all this stuff planned. I know you have busy schedules. But when did busyness become more important than the person you said I do to? The person you say I love you to? When did your schedule become more important than the connection between you and your partner? And when you take time to reach out to your partner to check in, if you feel like, hey, my schedule's too busy, do what you do for everything else. Schedule it. I schedule everything. Haircuts for my children, calls. If you say, hey, I'm gonna talk to you in a few minutes, I'm gonna put it on the calendar. Why? Because I need to block it off so that the world knows you can't book me at that time. I'm busy and I'm holding space and I'm not showing up in pieces trying to talk to you, but I'm really over here doing this and I'm talking to you, but yeah, I'm over here. You're not listening effectively when you're doing that. And then how your partner knows you're not listening is because you ask the same stupid question again, which lets me know you were never listening because you weren't interested. So schedule the time so that everybody knows if all the world is breaking down, Jesus is on the main line. Tell him what you want, but you can't tell me because I'm talking to my partner. 20 minutes and ask, how are we doing? What's been working? What do you think needs to change? These 3 questions: how are we doing? What's been working? What needs to change? Can literally transform your marriage and relationships. You're called to serve your partner. So how can you serve them well if you don't know that their palate changed? How can you serve them well if you don't know their cholesterol is high? Now they can't eat half that stuff you used to cook. You don't know because you didn't ask. Because you're so busy chasing behind people that won't even show up for you. And you're chasing behind them. You're chasing these schedules. You're chasing these bills. You're chasing these kids. When these kids grow, they gone. Then what? Then what? So you got to be willing to invest in your partner. And if you don't have 20 minutes to invest in your partner, baby, stay single. This ain't for you. And the last but not least, invest in learning how to communicate effectively. So communication isn't something you know. It's not something that just happens. No, it's a skill. And like any skill, it needs to be developed. And so if you are not taking the time to develop your skill, how can you develop a skill that you don't even have data on? That's why when I work with couples, and I'll be teaching this at the workshop, I have them take a DISC assessment. Because what logical evidence and facts do you have that says you are a dominant and inspiring communicator? Where's the assessment? When you go to the doctor, they do all kind of tests on you and all these things. They pry, they prib, you're naked, you're not naked. You go through all these routines before they give you an answer. And sometimes even when they give you an answer, it's not a real answer because they're still trying to figure it out. This is the same thing with communication. And so in our workshop, we're going to talk about this. We're going to work through this workshop is going to be a working workshop. I'm going to give you tools as well on what not to say and what to say when. What not to say and what to say when. Because a lot of us, we are communicating the way we saw it happen in our homes. And quite honestly, that is exactly why you still living in the trauma of your parents and your ancestors and your great grandma and them, because you're still talking like them. And you can't talk like them to this person because they're not that person. And this is not the 1930s. Life is different. So if you're not evolving in the way you communicate, then you're not evolving in the way you connect. That is why it is so easy for you to get so mad with your partner that you mishandled the blessing and now you're calling them a burden. But 5 years ago, there was a blessing. 7 years ago, it was giving my man. And now the man can't touch you. He can't look at you. He can't wink at you. He can't do anything right. Why? Because you got so much unforgiveness that you haven't released. And you have so many conversations. You've been having so many surface level conversations that you haven't had the real raw ones. Stop. I want to challenge you. Stop having real conversations and have raw ones. The kinds that sometimes you may have to just take your clothes off and talk to your partner. Let's just get in the tub and have this conversation. When we're not hiding anything, where there's no shame, everything is all out in the open. So there's nobody doing Houdini trips and tricks in the background. Because that's what's keeping you disconnected. So make sure if you don't do anything else outside of listen to this and start implementing, click the link below in the description and get your seat. You don't want to miss it. We're offering the replay, and you're gonna want. Trust me, you're gonna want this replay, and you're gonna want the workbook as well, and live Q&A with me. But this workshop, this is for couples who are tired of feeling like roommates. Tired of the miscommunication, and you're ready to restore intimacy, trust, and passion in your marriage and your relationship. And in this workshop, I'm going to give you the exact tools to break down communication barriers and rebuild the connection you once had. Because at some point, this was your best friend. You couldn't wait to talk to him. You couldn't wait to talk to her. You couldn't wait. So don't wait until another argument happens. Go ahead and secure your spot now. Click the link in the bio. It's in my description. And let's do the work together. Let's do the work together. Stop putting it off. Stop saying I'm going to do it later. Please stop, because the longer you keep putting it off, the wider that gap gets. And if it gets too wide, there won't be a bridge big enough for you to cross it. And nobody gets married only to get divorced. Nobody's standing there on the wedding day thinking, I can't wait to divorce you in 5 years. You're not. So if this video blessed you in any way, make sure that you like, subscribe, share this with another power couple who is secretly struggling to keep the connection alive. They need it, because strong marriages don't just happen. They're built on purpose and with intention. So this has been my time with you. I pray that this has been a blessing to you. Make sure that you subscribe. Again, I'll see you at the workshop on purpose. See you next week.